Dear students, welcome to another video tutorial on operating system, and today's topic is input-output software. In our previous video tutorial, we have learned about input-output hardware, and this tutorial we will understand what are the input-output software. Myself Niladri Shekhar, I am working as an assistant professor at Computer Science and Engineering Department at Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. This college is under JIS Group Educational Initiative. Okay, and the college is situated at Badalpur. So, what are the IO software in operating system? Basically, IO software is often organized in the following layers. Okay, so you can see that there are three layers. Okay. One is user level libraries, the next one is kernel level libraries, the third one is the hardware part. Okay. So as you can see, there are three parts. One is user level libraries, the second one is kernel level libraries, and the third one is the hardware. So what are the user level libraries? These basically provide simple interface to the user program to perform inputs and outputs. For example, stdio is a library provided by C and C++ programming language. Okay? So these libraries can be used by the users for implementing printf, scanf, and other functions. Okay? So this type of libraries are called is okay. These are called the user level libraries, and these are the provided by C and C++ programming languages, and these are the used to perform different input and output operations. Next one is kernel level modules. This basically provides driver to interact with the device controller and device independent IO modules used by the device drivers. So this provides device driver to interact with the device controller and device independent IO modules. Okay, that is used by the device drivers. Next one is the hardware part. This layer basically includes actual hardware and hardware controller which interact with the device driver and makes hardware alive. Okay, so what does this layer do? This layer basically includes actual hardware and hardware controller which interact with the device drivers and makes hardware alive. Okay, so we can see that there are three types of interfaces are there. One is user level libraries, the next one is kernel level modules, and the third one is hardware. So what is the use of user level libraries? This basically provides simple interface to the user program to perform input and output. For example, stdio is a library provided by C and C++ programming language. Okay. The next one is the kernel level modules. This provides basically a device driver to interact with the device controller and device develop independent IO modules used by the device drivers. Okay. And the last one is the hardware. This layer includes actual hardware and hardware controller which interacts with the device drivers and the make hardware alive. Okay. A key concept in the design of IO software is that it should be device independent, okay, where it should be possible to write programs that can access any IO device, okay, without having to specify the device in advance. Okay, so a key concept in the design of IO software is that it should be device independent, okay, where it should be possible to write programs that can access any IO device without having to specify the device in advance. Okay, so this software will be designed in such a way so that it can be used by any other devices. Okay, that means it is device independent. Next one is A program that reads a file as input should be able to read a file on a floppy disk. Okay, so a program reads a file as input should be able to read a file on a floppy disk, on a hard disk, or on a CD-ROM without having to modify the program for each different devices. So there it will be a single program, okay, to read something from the to read something, okay. So that can be a read can be a file on a floppy disk, on a hard disk, or from a CD-ROM, okay. That does not depends, okay, from where you want to read the code, okay. It is basically machine dependent. So as you can see, this is the pictorial representation, okay. These are the user IO libraries. These, these are the device independent IOs, okay. And these are the device drivers, okay. These are the device controllers and these are the device, okay. So you can see there are three devices: printer, disk, and USB drive, okay. So through device controller, these are connected with device driver, okay. And these are the device independent and user IO libraries. Okay, these are the user, these are the kernel, and this is the hardware. Okay, the user uses which are independent. Okay, these are the device drivers, these are the device controller, and this is the devices. Okay, so suppose any user want to print something. Okay, so user IO libraries will go for stdio for those libraries which are responsible for printing. Then device independent IO input output operation. Okay, next device driver, then it will go to the device controller, and from device controller it go to the printer. Okay, so these are the mechanism. What is device drivers? Device drivers are software modules, okay, that can be plugged into an OS to handle a particular device. Okay, so what is device driver? Device driver is basically a software module, okay, that can be plugged into operating system to handle a particular device, okay. So it is the outside thing to control any device, okay, of an operating system, okay. We can connected device drivers, okay. So it is basically used to control different devices of a operating system, okay. Operating system takes help from device driver to handle all IO devices. Okay, so device drivers, okay, will help operating system, okay, to handle all the IO devices. Basically, in computing, a device driver is a computer program, okay, that operates or controls a particular type of device that is attached to a computer. Okay, a driver provides a software interface to hardware devices, enabling operating systems and other computer programs to access hardware functions without needing to know precise details about the hardware being used. Okay. Device drivers encapsulate device dependent code and implements a standard interface in such a way that code contains device-specific registers, read or writes. Okay. Device driver is generally written by the device's manufacturer and delivered along with the device on a CD-ROM. A driver basically communicates with the device through the computer bus or communications subsystem to which the hardware connects. Okay. When a calling program invokes a routine in the driver issues commands to the device. Once the device sends data back to the driver may invoke routines in the Original calling program. Drivers are hardware dependent and operating system specific. Okay, they usually provide the interrupt handling required for any resource or for any unnecessary asynchronous time dependent hardware interfaces. Okay, so what are the basically purpose of device driver? The main purpose of a device driver is to provide abstraction by acting as a translator between a hardware device and the application or operating system, okay, that uses it. Programmers can write higher level application code independently of whatever specific hardware the end user is using. For example, a high level application for interacting with a serial port may simply have two functions for send data and receive data. At a lower level, a device driver implementing these functions would communicate to the particular series port, okay, controlled installed on a user computer. Now, what are the applications? Drivers may interface with printers, video adapters, network adapters, sound cards, etc. Okay. Next, what are the jobs of device drivers? A device driver performs the following jobs: to accept requests from the device independent software above to it, interact with the device controller, to take and give I/O and perform required error handling, making sure that the request is executed successfully. A device driver handles a request is as follows. Suppose a request comes to read a block in. If the driver is idle at the time a request arrives, okay, it starts carrying out the request immediately. Otherwise, if the driver is already busy with some other requests, it places the new request in the queue of pending requests. Okay. Suppose device drivers generally run at a high level of privilege within the operating system runtime environment. Some device drivers, in fact, may be linked directly to the operating system kernel, a portion of an OS such as Windows, Linux, or Mac OS that remains memory resident and handles execution for all other codes, including device drivers. Device drivers really requests for device access and actions from the operating system and its active applications to their respective hardware devices. They also deliver outputs of or status or messages from the hardware device to the operating system. What are the interrupt handlers? An interrupt handler are also known as an interrupt service routine or ISR, okay, which is a piece of software or more specifically a callback function in an operating system or more specifically in a driver, okay, whose execution is triggered by the reception of an interrupt. Okay, so what is interrupt handler? An interrupt handler, it is also known as interrupt service routine or ISR. Okay, which is a piece of software or more specifically a callback function in an operating system or more specifically in a device driver whose execution is triggered by the reason or by the reception of an interrupt. Okay, when the interrupt happens, the interrupt procedure does whatever it has to in order to handle the interrupt, updates data structure and wakes up process that was waiting for an interrupt to happen. Okay, so the CPU then invokes the interrupt handler for the device that sent the interrupt signal. The job of the interrupt handler is to service the device and stop the device from interrupting. Okay, so when the interrupt handler returns, the CPU resumes the work it was doing before the interrupt occurred. Okay, the interrupt mechanism accepts an address, a number that selects a specific interrupt handling routine or function from a small set. Okay, so we can say that it is a signal emitted by hardware or software. Okay, when a process or an event needs immediate attention. While the processor is handling the interrupts, it must inform the device that its request has been recognized so that it stops sending the interrupt request signals. Okay. The scheduler, in fact, can interrupt a process at any point of time, okay, when its time quantum has elapsed, unless it is a FIFO real-time process. A more correct definition, okay, one point when a signal is delivered to the process is when the control flow leaves the kernel mode, okay, to resume executing user mode code. In most architectures, the address is an offset, okay, stored in a table called the interrupt vector table. The, this vector contains basically the memory address of specialized interrupt handler. Okay. So now what are the basically purpose of an interrupt handler? Interrupt, hand, interrupt handlers are basically initialized by hardware interrupts, software interrupt instructions or software exception and are used for implementing device drivers or translations between protected modes of operation such as system calls. The traditional form of an interrupt handler is the hardware interrupt handler. Okay. Now you can say that what happens when an interrupt occurs. Okay. Basically, when an interrupt occurs, it causes the CPU to stop executing the current program. Okay. When an interrupt is generated, the processor saves its execution state via a context switch and begins executing the interrupt handler at the interrupt vector. Now, what are the device-dependent I/O software? The basic function of the device-dependent software is to perform the I/O functions that are common to all the devices and to provide and to provide a uniform interface to the user level software. Okay. So though it is difficult to write completely, okay, device dependent software, but we can write some modules which are common among all the devices. Okay. So a key concept in the design of iOS software is that it should be device independent. Okay, where it should be possible to write programs that can access any IO device without having to specify the devices in advance. Okay, so the most important part of IO software is device independence. It is always most preferable to write program which can open all other IO devices. For example, it is not necessary to write the input taking program again and again for taking input from various files and devices. Following is a list of functions, okay, of device independent IO software. The first one is the uniform interfacing for device drivers. The next one is device naming, that is names mapped to major and minor device numbers. Next one is device protection. Next one is providing a device independent block size. Buffering, because data coming off a device cannot be stored in a final destination. Storage allocation on block devices. Okay. Now, next is user space IO software. These are the libraries which provide richer and simplified interfaces to access the functionality of the kernel or ultimately interactive with the device drivers. Most of the user-level I/O software consists of library procedures, with some exception like spooling system, which is a way of dealing with dedicated I/O devices in a multi-programming system. I/O libraries, for example stdio, are in user space to provide an interface to the OS resident device independent I/O software. For example, PutCare, GetCare, Printf, and Scanf are examples of user-level I/O library studio available in C programming. Now, what is kernel I/O subsystem? Kernel I/O subsystem is responsible to provide many services related to I/O. Following are the sums of the services provided. Number one is scheduling, buffering, caching, spooling and device reservation, error handling. Okay. Now, what is scheduling? Kernel schedules a set of I/O requests to determine a good order in which to execute them. When an application issues a blocking I/O system call, the request is placed on the queue for that device. The kernel I/O scheduler rearranges the order of the queue to improve the overall system efficiency and the average response time experienced by the application. Next is buffering. Kernel I/O subsystem maintains a memory area known as buffer that stores data while they are transferred between two devices or between a device with an application operation. Buffering is done to cope with a speed mismatch between the producer and consumer of a data stream or to adapt between devices that have different data transfer sizes. Next one is caching. Kernel maintains cache memory, which is region of first memory that holds copies of data. Access to the cached copy is more efficient than access to the original. Next one is spooling and device reservation. A spool is a buffer that holds output for a device, such as a printer, that cannot accept interleaved data streams. The spooling system copies the queued spool files to the printer one at a time. In some operating systems, spooling is managed by a system daemon process. Okay. In other operating systems, it is handled by an in-kernel chip. Next one is error handling. An operating system that uses protected memory, okay, can guard against many kinds of hardware and application errors. Okay. So these are the kernel IO subsystem. Hope you have understood it. Okay. So if you have any doubt, any query, you can write on the comment section. If you like my videos, you can subscribe my channel. Okay. Or you can visit www.facebook.com/digital classroom Niladripal. Okay. And like my page. So students, thank you for now. See you on the next tutorial.